Right, we're in the clubhouse. I'm joined by Zach and Emil, two people who should need no introduction. We are sponsored by the Atherton Collieries Supporters Club. Thank you very much to them. This is the end of season extravaganza.
Absolutely, a triple threat to celebrate, and we've got one microphone for every person here, which is good as well.
So yeah, you can see all the stuff that's in shot. I've probably overdone it, but yeah, you can never be
safe than sorry.
Yeah, we can see on the pitch. It's raining.
Yeah,
well, that's the story. That's the story of the season, isn't it, Emil? The weather.
There's some work going on the pitch because there's a lot of birds, presumably eating seeds.
Not as many as there were last week, so
yeah,
making progress.
Happy days. Right then, so season overview.
Yeah.
Where should we start?
Well, I mean, it's been some season. I mean, I suppose you start in August, don't you? Because we'll track it chronologically, and it only feels like yesterday, doesn't it? And that away trip to Whitby Town, and then Warrington Rylands, and I think Bradford Park Avenue, and I think there was some optimism, wasn't there, at the start of the season, because it was very much a new era, lots of new players, and results and performances were really positive, weren't they? You know, especially that one against Rylands, I think more so than the one against Bradford Park Avenue.
We could have very easily beat Rylands.
Oh yeah. Was it offside, that goal? Or
there was a very dodgy offside decision, which is a theme that should run throughout the season. Jordan Scanlon had a fantastic opportunity to finish the game off, and we ended up. Who was the keeper back then?
With Nico.
No, of course it was Nico.
Nico keeping us in the game at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, it was a good performance. And I mean, the Bradford Park Avenue win, you see Jordan Scanlon, he's sort of stepped into the spotlight, didn't he? And
fantastic goal.
He's a player. I mean, Emil, you've probably seen young lads develop over your time at Coles, but he's one for me that feels like he developed over the course of the season, because, whilst that Bradford Park Avenue performance was really strong, there was always a bit of naivety, wasn't there? But you saw less and less in that as the season progressed, didn't you?
Well, yeah, towards the end of the season, he'd improved. I mean, again, I don't know where I think he'd been at Rochdale, but I presume he'd been playing under 21, under 23 football, whatever it was, and he'd come and he released, and Chaddy got him, and it was initially, I mean, he scored them 2 goals against Bradford Park Avenue, but I think the problem was it wasn't just Jordan. We didn't win many games after that, did we? So, no. I mean, it was just, we had some young lads in the team, and they went into the shell a little bit. For
me, the theme that runs throughout it is attacking, going forward. We were dangerous. Like Jordan has got goals in him. Lewis Mansell can cause problems for anyone.
100%.
Harvey Gregson, who was with us early in the season, went on to play for Marine. Has been promoted to Conference North. He was fully capable of sitting in that pocket, causing problems. The problems were at the back, and they weren't kids. To be fair, they weren't kids at the back.
And I think Chaddy didn't know I don't think he knew quite what to do at first, because obviously we started with Fagbola being essential to that defence, didn't we? You know what I mean? And then it very quickly became obvious that Jordan didn't quite have the pace or the agility for this level. He was a leader, he was strong, but then there wasn't much to his running game and stuff like that. And for me, one of the stars that came in, and one of Chaddy's better signings really was Dylan, when he brought him on loan from Nantwich Town. He came on loan. Was it loan?
Well, it weren't on loan. He came from Nantwich Town.
So he came from Nantwich Town, and he really made that position his own, didn't he? And how old was he? 23, was it? 21? Well, he was in his early 20s.
I mean, I've not got his
but
21, 22, I'd say.
Was he 19?
Yeah.
Lower.
It could have been, but for me, he was when he came. 2021 were being signalled by our producer, and when
Hardcastle.
Yeah, when he came, he really made that his own, and he had the pace, he had the strength, he had the bravery. So I think that was difficult in itself. But I mean, one of the funniest games in August for me was when we got beat away at Matlock 3-0. Were you at that game? And you were there, weren't you, Emil? When we drove down, didn't we? And the football we played second half, is some of the best football I've seen Coles play for a number of years. But we just didn't have a sniff in the first 10 minutes, and that's what killed us in that game.
On that game, Nathan Kane got smashed into and went off injured, and we took that, and no Atherton Collieries team I've ever seen would take one of our players being smashed into without everyone
going over,
steaming over.
Yeah,
and we didn't have that, and Nathan went off, and then the goals we let in, they didn't do enough to beat us by that score. Yeah. The third was a penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were pushing forward,
and then you move through to September, and the away trip at Gisborough Town was a highlight.
Yeah,
it was a good one. You were away for that one, weren't you?
Well, I remember. I'd gone Mexico,
but it
was a belter.
First thing I did when I got to Cancun Airport was turn phone on, and we'd won 4-0. So we were like happy days, wasn't it?
And it was a really good trip, and they were a lovely football. It was a lovely football club, Gisborough. And
they were a bit argumentative, the crowd.
Were they?
The locals were a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean,
passion.
Yeah, that's it. It is passion, and you go into the clubhouse, they brew their own beer, and I mean, look, it's the best pie, chips, peas, and gravy I've had this season. So that's always the mark of a good club. But and then that obviously took us to Ashton United, and that was the other highlight of September, really, because that away game at Ashton United, you always throughout the season, there's always been games where you think, right, we're turning a corner here. Do you know what I mean? But then we never did. And we had some pretty big, like, you look at that win against Bradford Park Avenue, the win at Gisborough, we then lost. Then that draw at Ashton United where we came back from 2-0 down to draw 2-2. Enormous character that. And then Jack Buckley saving at the end.
Yeah.
But it never quite clicked, did it? And I don't really know why. You can't put your finger on why.
That game back here, which is a replay, was it cup or trophy?
It was cup. It was cup. And we took the lead in that game.
Yeah. What I can remember is their assistant manager was playing centre back, and he just commanded the game.
Yeah.
Commanded the game. Steve Connie sat over there,
and
his assistant is just dictating the whole game from the pitch. And we were so quiet.
Yeah.
Sean Newton. Is it Sean Newton?
Yeah. And I mean, we've said many times, it's like losing 2-1. It's always that last 10 minutes of the second half. You're always treading on eggshells, aren't you? Waiting for us to concede that second goal, aren't we? You couldn't relax, could you?
Well, no. I mean, were it 3-1 we lost to Ashton, or was it 2-1?
The replay.
In replay.
Yeah, 3-1. Yeah,
it were 3-1. So I presume they scored late on. And for me. And I mean, I'm probably saying this a little bit early in the podcast. If we went to play 41 to 45 minutes and 86 to 90 minutes, I don't think we'd have gone down.
No.
I don't think we'd have gone down. But just looking at it and looking it through Cole's tinted glasses, it was that 41 to 45 minutes and 86 to 90 minutes.
You draw a graph and it'd be like goals conceded.
It was just. I mean, I don't know what Chaddy could say sometimes because, you're there but what happens is sometimes you were expecting it as well, weren't you? I mean,
by the end, you were
expecting it, and
it's the hope that kills you though as well, because you're 2-0 up at times, and you're like Lancaster City away on Boxing Day, and it's the hope, it's absolutely the hope that kills you. And I mean, Chaddy spoke a lot about having a young squad. It was a young squad, weren't it? A lot of them were learning their trade, and I suppose that comes with experience and comes with time, but it never did. And then the next major sort of turning point, or what potential turning point, was in October when we played FC United away, and we won 2-0. And I know the last 10 minutes of that game was a back against the wall job, but that is one where we didn't fold, and that is probably the best Coles performance of the season, hands down, from start to finish.
We've hit them on the break.
Yeah,
hit them on the break really effectively, and we've been resolute in defence. And there weren't many times you could say that.
No.
So.
And it's always good to get a win there, isn't it?
Yeah.
At FC at Borders Park.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I mean, Yeah.
It's an awesome setup, isn't it? And it's a great away day. But, to SC United, it goes back in history. Chaddy and the unique relationship he had with that football club. Do you know what I mean? It's like Vincent Kompany going back to City. You want him to get a result. And they were singing "He's big, he's Chaddy, he's number 5" and stuff like that. And it was brilliant. And Lewis Mansell scored. Who was the other one?
The first goal was Joe Adams.
Joe Adams.
The producers
signal Joe Adams.
Hey, what a good goal that was.
Yeah, and what a good player he was.
Well, he was actually. He was a loss, wasn't he?
Yeah.
When he was a loss.
And he didn't really
Joe was
shine at
Joe was our
Rylands,
best player.
He went to Rylands.
He went to Rylands and was on the bench for a lot of the season. So
I don't know why. I still don't really understand why Cleggy signed him. I really don't, because he was on the bench.
Cleggy signed him because we were up there, and they wanted strength in depth. I mean, what I will say is moving fast forward again, but you think it's not all doom and gloom. We've had a young squad.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And let's have it right. We finished where we finished. I mean, but I cannot tell. I mean, I get them. The number of 7 days notice of approaches for different players is in double figures. And it's like collectively, maybe not. Maybe it was a year too soon. I mean, it was a difficult job, and collectively a year too soon. But I mean, if you'd won a game or somebody scored, I was frightened deaf of opening my emails on Sunday and Monday because the asset strippers were here. Yeah. That's football.
And we talked about that previously. Like, one of Chaddy's biggest strengths, clearly, is his recruitment. Like, he's picking up these players essentially on the bones of their arse. Do you know what I mean? Players that are ready to give up the game, like your Lewis Mansells, your Jordan Scanlons, who's been pushed back and back. And truthfully, to God, I don't know where he's found some of them, because Lewis Mansell wasn't on the name Enoch. Again, is somebody who was putting on Sidi Fofana and stuff like that.
Harvey Gregson, sums it up. You mentioned him before. He were playing for us. Marine come, I presume, because we're not played him back then. Marine come looking at him. They took a punt on him, and lad got managers player of the year. And we went up to Conference North, or whatever you want to call it, and that's testament to. I mean, Chaddy has been part of his development.
100%, and that's always going to happen, isn't it? Especially at Coles, when we can't compete with the contracts, with wages and stuff like that. But when players come to us, they know A, they're given a chance. B, they've got the backing of the supporters, because, like you said, Emil, this season, it's not all doom and gloom, but it also wasn't all sunshine and lollipops, was it? But our average attendance increased, which I think is testament to the support.
The two main things from this season are the supporters club have done a fantastic job, and the support stuck with us
100%.
Despite the fact, and this is not having a dig at anyone, but our support, we can't compete with any of the teams that are pulling 1,000. They're pulling 1,000 or 700 on an average game. We're consistently still pulling our biggest crowds.
Yeah. And I think because as well, what we've got and what's unique to us at Coles is we've got so many conflicted different markets around us. Do you know what I mean? You've got Bolton Wanderers on your doorstep. So when Bolton Wanderers are playing at home, especially with the way they were playing last season, and they were getting 22,000 at home against Shrewsbury Town. You can't. Their polls a lot from us now. Then you've got Lee down the road, and if Lee are ever playing at home, there's a clash there. Then of course you've got, even in the local vicinity, you've got 4 clubs alone. In Atherton, if you include Pennington and stuff like that, and 5 if you include Hynesford. And it's just it's a lot, and so sometimes Coles home games.
I constantly argue that you need to elevate yourself
above
that level.
Of course, but it's the reality though.
But also what we've got. Yeah, I mean it's all right saying that, but also what we've got to. You'd think 10 years ago, before the Cleggy era,
of course,
we're getting 40.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So we're getting 40 now. We're getting 200. 250, 300, 300. So I mean, you think about it. It's like
we're taking more than 42 away games at the Arse.
I mean,
and knowing you're probably going to lose 4-1 or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think next season, and we've talked a lot about next season really, and the opportunities provided there, because you're not playing your FC United, you're not playing your Macclesfields, but what you are playing is you're playing more traditionally well-known non-league names, do you know what I mean? Like your Clitheroes, your Runcorns, you know, your Witnesses and stuff like that. And your Runcorn Linnets, that's going to be a really interesting game, isn't it? And they themselves bring a bit of pull in because the games will be more competitive. Hopefully we're in a bit more of a positive position in terms of table and performances and stuff like that. And so there's a little bit more edge to the game. Whereas sometimes here, we'd be competitive. We'd be competitive. But like Emil said, there'd be 10 minutes of the game where we wouldn't be competitive, and that's where ultimately it'd slip in.
A lot of the time, I come like 2:15.
Yeah.
And there's 2 coaches out there. The team have come on an exec coach.
Yeah.
And there's a supporters on an exec coach. And
Yeah.
when we go, it's 50 of us all together on a non-exec coach. And it's a grand for a coach.
Yeah, of course it is.
So I don't even know how you go about finding that kind of money. You just...
Well, we're lucky because I know, I'm
compete.
sure we can say this, can't we? The Supporters Club have contributed quite a bit of money to coach travel this season, which I think has been brilliant, you know, and stuff like that. And one of the trips that come, like, moving forward to sort of November time was that Macclesfield away trip on a Tuesday. And I know that was 6-0, but that, I mean... That is some setup that Cole's played at. Did you go to the Macclesfield one? I mean, it was some setup, wasn't it, Emil?
Yeah. It were. And that was the one, no, listen, I can't speak to Chaddy, but I'll try on this one. That was one where he was very, very disappointed because we looked like we were rabbits in headlights
we did,
all the game. And we went in at one, I think it 1-0.
1-0 at half time.
I think it was late on and made it 1-0. But in the second half, it were men against boys, and I think we thought we were lucky to get away with 6, really.
Yeah.
But that's the level we were at.
Yeah. And well, like, you were talking about men against boys then, and thinking about players who Chaddy have found and have ultimately left. Another one that we not mentioned was Josh Solomon Davies. You know, the first Coles international. That was around that time. Yeah. And he was some player. Where did he come from?
He played for Marine, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
I think he played for Marine when we played Spurs in the FA Cup games.
But he was some player down that right wing, wasn't he? And he scored against Baseford away, didn't he, in August for us to make it 1-1. Probably the least deserved point in Colts history because we weren't at the races that day, were we? But, you know, a scrappy win. And fast forward then, you're looking at kind of Rylands away, 1-1. I mean, that was a point and a performance again, wasn't it? And you're thinking, oh, we turned a corner here. And that was the day of the sponsored walk, wasn't it? And that was an adventure meal, wasn't it? Do you want to talk a little bit about the sponsored walk?
Well, yeah, I mean, what we did, it was our intention, Supporters Club, to do a sponsored walk. We looked at the fixtures, Warrington, Rylands, game before Christmas. Yeah, we were up for it, 6 or 7 of us. Let's not say we're intrepid, it were only 15 miles type thing.
And we stopped at McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it was a bit of camaraderie thing as well. I mean, respect to all our fans. I mean, we had a GoFundMe page for the lease. And that day, I think we made about £1,500, didn't we? We made about £1,500. But the performance as well was excellent because... Yeah, I mean, Cleggy again. I mean, I think they were riding high. I think they'd won at Macclesfield, maybe.
I think they were second at this point.
They'd won at Macclesfield maybe two weeks before. And, yeah, I mean, I think we were 1-0 down. And the great Enoch, with a couple of minutes ago, he struck. And then at that time, I don't think we knew much about Enoch. I mean, like, I know he'd scored, I think, before then, on his debut, coming as a sub against Ilkeston. And straight away, White Chit, Supporters Club man, said, right, I'm sponsoring him. It looked like there's a player in him, you know, and we didn't know. I mean, and he'd scored, but we'll talk about him in future, but later on. But yeah, definitely a good day and a great point at Rylands. And you think, we've got a point at second in the league, but so in some games we were a cigarette paper off, but it is the quality of your opposition. Sometimes you've got to think sometimes we're playing against a good team, but we're happy at Rylands.
Oh yeah, and I think it was a performance that kind of reflected the journey we'd been on in the morning. Do you know what I mean? It almost felt like they were playing for us, which was really positive. And then that, ironically, was a game we backed up because, I mean, just a word on Rylands, I don't know about you, I mean, that was my first trip there. And I thought they were brilliant. You know, they got everyone who went on the walk a pint, and they sat us down and gave us a pie and stuff like that. And just a real quality club, actually, because I know sometimes we know how it feels when fans come to our league and they kind of point the finger at our ground and say, how are you at our level? And I know Rylands gets something similar, but I thought every person at that club were dead polite, really nice, and so yeah, full credit to them. They're building something there, aren't they? But then we followed it up, Boxing Day, Workington, and there's two things I took away from that game. We were 3-0 up, and I was with Matt Lawton and Gibbo. Now they've not been able to get down too much this season because of other commitments, and they were chanting easy, easy, and I said to them, no. If there's one Coles team you don't do that with, it's this Coles team, with all due respect.
Any Coles, you don't shout 3. I always say it's bad dugout. Let's not jinx anything.
And then 10 minutes later, we were 3-2 down, and they were like, "You're right." But the other thing I take away from that game, Emil, you'll know this: the Workington fans were characters. They were characters. When I didn't know too much about Workington, but I weren't quite expecting the character of the people that were coming down, because they were a lively bunch, very similar to a Coles crowd, I thought, actually. And there was a ball went over, and a young lad tried to kick it over, and he fell flat on his ass. All his mates were laughing. Then his mate tried to do it, and he falls flat on his ass too. And it was unbelievable, because they were just in uproars of laughter, and their game was being played.
That were a brilliant moment.
Yeah.
And it were played, and the weather were awful.
Oh, the pit. Yeah.
I mean, I must admit, I don't know who we got that game on. I don't know how it was called on, but it did. The referee and the lads were brilliant playing it.
Yeah, and my God, at the end it looked like they'd been playing in the Somme, hadn't it? Like because of the weather. Do you know what I mean? The way the pitch cut up. Because I think second half was it like torrential rainfall or something like that all the way through.
The rain's just merged from one game to another, hasn't it?
I mean, while we're on the matter of calling games on, I mean, there's been some moments this season, aren't there, Emil? Like I'm talking Marine and Macclesfield here. Just because the whole point of this, isn't it, to make people aware of what goes on in the background of the club. Talk me through a morning match day for you and for everyone else who sorts all the pitch side of things out and all the kind of logistics. What sort of happens?
Well, I mean, it's not been a morning match day, really. No, I mean, it was a morning. It was a week, because wherever we're going this season, I've got a right good old trusty weather app on my iPad, and from Sunday before Saturday game, you're looking at the weather constantly, all the time. So the weather is playing on your mind, not the football or getting the game on. It's just the weather, and then you've just got to hope that they're not right, but usually they've been right. And what happens is you've got to come down about 8 o'clock in the morning, because, like you say, they're not coming from Ainsworth, they're not coming from Bolton County, they're coming from like distances like you could say Gainsborough and like
because of the north east,
and Morpeth, and you've got to find out whether the game's going to be on at 8 o'clock in the morning sometimes. Well, the problem is now, as I see it, right, I've got like a stable of referees who'll come down looking at the pitch, and they've like got the pedigree is the football league, the football league or the top end of the conference. And we've had games. I mean, we'll cite the Macclesfield game. We'll cite the Macclesfield game where the football league referees called the match on. Was called the match on at 11 o'clock. The weather's improved, and then the match referee has come at 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock, and called the game off, saying it's not fit. And I would have rather it be called off at 11 o'clock than 2 o'clock, because it puts you under a bit of pressure, and it's a bit of credibility. What's happening here?
Yeah.
And it's just hopefully the weather improves. The weather improves this year, or I can see, especially at this level, grass is going to be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Because it takes all the pleasure out. The weather has taken all the pleasure out for me this season. Never mind the football. I'm not bothered about the football results.
And I think it's when they come on and do the pitch inspection, these football league referees, it's not like they even just look at the pitch, do they? They get a ball out, they're bouncing it around, they're considering all the areas. There was one morning I was on with Emil. I think what was one we got called on later and it still went ahead? I can't remember. A home game. But either way, I was down, and it was around Easter time, just after, I can't remember. And that Football League referee came down, and you were walking around every area of that pitch, weren't you, saying, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?"
You have to cajole them. Well, not cajole them, because but the thing is, but as I look at it sometimes, match referees, you've got to go looking from the perspective that I want the game on rather than I want the game off, right? Game on, game off. And if both teams are willing to start and play, what's the problem?
Yeah.
What's the problem? And that's what happened at the Macclesfield game. Both teams were set up. And
they were good to go.
Yeah, they were good to go. And
I think what fans perhaps don't understand at our level, I think less so in step 4, to be fair, because I think everyone's in a very similar boat there, but at step 3 especially, is if it's called on at 11 o'clock by a Football League referee, you've got to say it's going ahead, and then the referee that comes on calls it off, then that's not the club's fault, because you're just doing as you're told from that point onwards, aren't you? You are relying on other people to either say yes or no. So as a club, your hands are tied.
The match referee is the sole arbiter of whether the game's going to be on or not.
And on this particular morning, I remember, not the Macclesfield one, but the one that came on, you even got the Football League referee to call the match referee. You said, right, speak to him, tell him it's right.
No, that's etiquette. You've got to do that.
Oh, is that standard?
You've got to do that, because at the end of the day, the referee is just advising. I get it. Yeah. The referee is just advising, but the Macclesfield frustrated the hell out of me, and Macclesfield were so understanding about it.
Yeah,
they were so understanding, but they were here, they saw it. I mean, and what don't help sometimes is when there's lads going on pitch in white trainers, tiptoeing on white trainers, when referees looking at it, and I mean, it is what it is, but hopefully the weather's going to improve, or else, if not, the only teams at our level, maybe levels below, have got the team progressing then with 4, 5, 6G pitches whenever it'll be, because it's hard work. It's hard work.
I mean, you saw it in the counties. I know this is the counties and we're above the counties, but you had Charlotte Richard, for example, got into the playoffs of the North West Counties Premier Division. So the league below the league we've just gone into, only because of the fact they had 6 games left after the season was finished, and they won all of those 6 games. So they had, when the league season had finished, everyone else had finished apart from Charnock Richard and their outstanding fixtures, and because they won all 6 of their games, they snuck up from 8th to 5th. I mean, that's madness, isn't it? And they were playing home games at Burscough just for it to go ahead, and this is the ridiculous position we find ourselves.
I mean, the only thing is, right, there's nobody more honest than me, and you think, bloody hell, this pitch again, look at it. But what helped me a little bit this season was it was happening to everybody else.
Yeah.
It was happening to everybody else, and
we didn't actually have that many called off, did we?
No, I mean, we had the Marine game. We had the Marine game called off. What were called on?
Yeah.
No, in my opinion, it shouldn't have been done in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, we should have called it off, or it should have been called off, right? It should have been called off, but that was done. It was done in conjunction with the match referee. It was called because the match referee called that one on. No, this isn't no criticism, but.
And that was interesting in the Macclesfield one, because I remember that Marine one. That was a case of actually both players didn't want that game to be played. Do you know what I mean? That Marine one, did they? You know what I mean? The match referee had called that on in the morning, but when it came to 2 o'clock, when both players had arrived, they weren't particularly interested with it in it being played, unlike the Macclesfield one. Do you know what I mean?
No, I mean, no, they weren't. But there's nothing worse. I mean, listen, you know what it's like in Twitter land these days. Yeah. When there's a game on,
awful,
I mean, anybody's ready for
Well, your arse is clenching, isn't it? Just
of course it. I mean, because you're waiting for the backlash. You try your best.
I live for the day we just close our Twitter account down.
Yeah.
Move on from that.
It becomes a toxic space.
Yeah, it completely is. There's some people must spend their weekends just voicing their opinion about clubs. that they probably don't know where Atherton is.
Yeah.
Just I'm going to have a dig at them. That's how they get my kicks. Yeah. Let's move on from.
And I think so moving through
to Snapchat.
So, but either way, the point was that Christmas period, well, October through to the end of the season was tough, wasn't it? Weather-wise, pitch-wise, organisation-wise.
It's tough for the club financially as well.
Yeah.
You can't plan.
No.
You can't plan your revenue, your income.
I mean, we'll cite the Macclesfield game, right? So the Macclesfield game is right. So we're from Monday to Tuesday shitting lead bricks because is this game going to be on? Is this game not going to be on? So at 11 o'clock, the first pitch inspection, it's on. It's on. So what do? We order extra beer.
Extra pies?
Extra, because we were worrying, like, do we order them, do we not order them? So we ordered them, so we were like, we're
ready to go.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
And it was Cleggie's first game, remember? So Macclesfield had just got their new manager in, so we were expecting a bumper crowd on top of the bumper crowd. Do you know what I mean? That new manager thing.
And that's what happens. Is it wasn't just that we'd lost the game. It wasn't the fact that we'd had to pay the referee our fee and the line our fee, which is what happened. That's per rule.
Black and white. Yeah.
It was the fact that I'd rather had it called off 11 o'clock and had all these disappointed people saying,
oh well.
Yeah, or they'll say Collie's pitch is shit again.
Yeah,
I'd rather have that than somebody turning I'd rather have that than somebody turning up at 2 o'clock and then the game not going on.
We need a bingo card where it's like every club that turns up, mention the pitch, the changing rooms. Yeah, there we go, and across the board, and then full house in it.
And I do think next season will be more forgiving because that's where it all blends in.
Across the board, my thoughts about last season was no one wants us to be in that league.
Yeah.
Not for a conspiracy point of view. The referees don't want to be telling the mates in work on Friday, where are you refereeing tomorrow? Idle chit chat by the water cooler. Atherton Collieries. They want to be telling them I'm at Macclesfield or all these bigger clubs, and they turn up with a preconceived notion. The players turning up here don't want to be playing here.
I mean, listen, I might not agree with you 100% of it, but there were times where referees who hadn't been to this ground last season were remote control to our dodgy areas.
They
were remote control to us. So again, I get it if you're in the same society like football as referees talk.
Yeah, of course
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's.
I mean, we even had a team last season. I think it was Morpeth. They were late, weren't they? Because they
gone to FC United.
They didn't want to be here so much. They went to the wrong ground. They went to FC United.
That's the finest story of season, really.
There was a point where we were going to have to delay kick-off because I think they got here at 13 minutes past 2 or something like that. So they were safe by 2 minutes.
Well, I mean, look, I can see the difference. Broadhurst Park and the Schooner.
They've had pitch problems themselves.
Of course,
But that was the win after that. I mean, look, we're around January time now, and I think. You talk about Enoch really coming onto the scene. He came onto scene for me in that game away at Lancaster City because he scored, didn't he?
He scored. Mansell scored, and then Enoch scored.
And then Enoch scored to make it 2-0.
We were losing. We were losing
1-0.
We were losing 1-0, and then it was like 2-1 going into injury time, and then it was like.
Was there a bad tackle or something like that? There was some, nonsense mischievousness where all the players crowded in together, and from that point onwards,
that was from they had numerous set pieces. They were having corners and
throw-ins. They had a long throw-in.
And every single time they were trying to kick it off and get the crowd behind them just to rattle the referee. And they managed to rattle our defence
and our keeper, I think.
Yeah.
And that was a real kick in the balls. That one, wasn't it?
Oh, that was it. I mean, I felt for Chaddy a few times, but that was the one, and it's you're winning 2-1.
Yeah,
you're winning 2-1 at Lancaster. Because I don't think we played particularly well in first half. But in second half, I mean,
we were in control.
Yeah, Mansell's goal were excellent. Yeah. Enoch's goal were excellent, and
I think we hit the post, didn't we? The bar or something like that as well. I think
we had a shot that whistled.
Maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But it was a superb second half performance, and again you're thinking great 2-1, but then all of a sudden last kick of the game.
Shell shocked. And listen, I don't. People can say game management. I don't know what game management, but it was just. And that last goal, didn't it? And it was that long throw at their end in front of like 200, 300 of their fans. We were in open end, weren't we? And we just knew it were going in.
And I've never felt all the games last season that when that Lancaster goal went in, just a sign, a kind of like numb silent on that terrace, because there was a healthy following, weren't there? There were around 100 calls, maybe slightly less, but just everyone was still for about 5 minutes after that game, just because they couldn't quite believe what they just seen. And you felt for Chaddy, because there is only so much a manager can do from the touchline at that point. Do you know what I mean? Because you're 2-1 up and your game plans go into everything. And then, like Chaddy always said in his interviews, I mean, Chaddy was a centre back himself and the captain of a side, and he always talks about them just not being able to keep their heads, not being able to keep the cool, and that never transcended, did it? Do you know what I mean? And that was the Lancaster game.
For me, that was just soul destroying, because purely selfish point of view, you've driven up there, it's cost 30 quid to get there, and it's taken you New Year's Day, so you're away from family or whatever or a lazy day, sleeping off your hangover, and 6 hours of your life that you're never going to get back.
But it was a good trip. We went to Wetherspoons, didn't we, before Emil? We had a
burger and chips,
manager's special, I think it was about $2.50, wasn't it, so it happens, doesn't it? The sort of we then beat Morpeth at the start of February, which, to be honest, I don't really remember much about that.
No, I do. I thought we were excellent. I thought we were excellent, and I think Jordan made it 4-1. Jordan made it 4-1, and then it could have been 5 or 6-1, right? And we're thinking, I don't believe this. I mean, Coles could be winning 5, 6, 7-1. What a result! They were still at Broadest Park in the first half hour, but then Colesy being Colesy, in the last 2 minutes it was 4-2, 4-3, and I think they hit post, didn't they? At 4-3.
They did.
But they must have thought, have we not drawn here? And it were over and out. And
we had a chance at 4 to make it 5. Close the game.
Hey, we'll take that win. We took that win, and I think we celebrated long and hard in Clubhouse.
Absolutely. And I think, and then that sort of carried on. I know there's been a few games since, but Radcliffe away, and and there's always since. We've been to Radcliffe many times, haven't we? We've always had a really interesting relationship with Radcliffe, because we've been rivals, but not rivals. But I mean, in more recent years, we've always found it quite the reality is, unfortunately, a hostile place to go. Do you know what I mean? I can't beat around the bush there.
Well, you're going home in a Radcliffe wheelie.
Well, exactly. And I mean, look, everyone at the club from an official point of view has always been very pleasant, but when you're there, it's a very in-your-face place.
It is.
And I think
I've got a photograph from that game
from this season.
Yeah, of some kid in Stone Island. They must have been about 12 years old, giving it V's to Eric.
93-year-old Eric,
I mean, that says it all. But we went there, in terms of our Northern Premier League Premier days, we went there in Brad's first full season post-COVID. We lost, didn't we? Was it 1-0? Yeah. And that was... it was so in your face. I remember Brad having an argument with their gaffer before, like a full-on in-your-face argument with their gaffer before the post-match interview. And I remember thinking, bloody hell, I'm glad to leave here at the end of the game. But then last season, we kind of got our revenge there, because we won 2-0, 2-1? 2-0. And it was that Marcus Cassani wonder strike and that Jay Fitzmartin tapping. And I've honestly, of all the victories last season, that's up there as my favourite one, because... Again, Radcliffe at that time were pushing for the playoffs. We were fighting for our lives at the bottom again, and it was just that moment of Radcliffe 0, Atherton Collieries 2 on their lips. And then this season again, that same fight, that same sort of in-your-faceness was completely there when we're playing Radcliffe away. This time Radcliffe are a different beast this season, aren't they?
Really, excellent.
fantastic team. And Bernard and John are friends of the club, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? We wish them all the best. But it all started with Sidi Fofana, didn't it? And it was
what a goal.
It was some strike again.
Yeah.
And again, before that, we'd missed a couple, hadn't we? Because we were by...
we were sat back, we were defending well and hitting them on the break.
Yeah.
Seems to be when we're at our most effective.
Yeah.
When we're composed at the back. You never look like conceding. We're comfortable here. We'll just soak it up, and then
hit them on the break.
Lewis Mansell was running at them, and they were scared of him.
And who scored the second goal?
Nathan
Kane. Oh yeah, he came on. He
slid
on the
in, didn't he? He slid in. So,
and we relocated this time, didn't we? We learnt our lesson from the past.
We went into that little stand. We went into little stand and
next to the manager's dad.
And then John Hall's dad. Yeah, I mean, I always enjoy going Redcliffe. It's an interesting. It's an interesting place. But at 2-0, but you're always thinking what's going on. Because remember, you're playing best team in league.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were like 7 or 8 points clear, and I mean, let me put on record what a job Radcliffe, Paul Hilton, and the owner have done. I mean, really, I mean, they were contemporaries of ours 10 years ago when we were North West Counties because we won. And then we went.
We had the FA Cup days with Radcliffe. We always played.
Of course we did. Then the Atherton crumble days when we won league and Radcliffe when they beat us 1-0 here. I mean that was an interesting atmosphere as well. But then we went on, and there's always been a bit of rivalry. But fair play to them, they've really kicked on, and I hope they do well in Conference North.
I don't.
But at 2-1, and you're thinking 4 or 5 minutes ago. But when it got to 10 minutes, when it got to 10 minutes injury time, you think, okay. And I mean, I don't want to be controversial, but I think we'd still be playing what now if we were winning 2-1. But hey, they pulled it back. But we've got to think we've drawn to a piece against top at least.
Absolutely.
So that at the time, whatever our other results were, we'd not lost to Rylands, who were second in league, and we've got a point at Radcliffe, and like they celebrated and equalised it,
absolutely.
So it was a bright spark of our season as far as I'm concerned,
and it was it was, and it showed what the squad was capable of, and they were capable of putting in a good shift like that. And I think one thing that's really that Chaddy himself, Chaddy ultimately agrees with every single opinion anyone who watches Col says. And I think the thing that's frustrated him most this season is just the inconsistency. Do you know what I mean? Because you can put a shift in like that away at Radcliffe, but then all of a sudden you're playing Baseford at home, and you can barely string 2 passes together. Do you know what I mean?
That for me was the worst performance of the season.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. It wasn't very good.
I was quite late to get in here, so I've parked up near Asda, and I'm walking down, and you can hear the players warming up, and you could hear how up for it they were, the team spirit and the camaraderie and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I was like, wow, it's an awful journey from there. It is. 3.5 hours on a coach from the other side of Nottingham.
And it feels like you make no progress as you make it because
you're going on
for an hour and you've only passed Derby.
And they've got here, and they were on it. Yeah, they were on it.
And the irony, the game after that, and this is one of my highlights of the season as well. When we played Radcliffe away, it was Hyde United away because we'd been off for we had about half a month off, didn't we? Because that was all the weather-related issues where we had away games postponed because we played Radcliffe about 12th of Feb. Then it was early March when we played Hyde United, and we were having a brew before the game, and the Hyde manager comes into hospitality to talk, and out of nowhere he sort of starts slagging off Col's speech, and it was one of those moments where you're sort of eating, you put down your knife and fork, he's like, what's he just said?
We've just spent a tenner on raffle tickets here,
and he just comes out with, I mean, Col's have got one of the worst pitches in the league, and everyone's just kind of coughing up the lasagna thinking, what's he just said there?
Bingo.
And this was an away game, and you're thinking, bloody hell, we can't get any luck.
Well, I mean, that were another game as well. I mean, we were 2-0 up and coasting.
And we were great.
2-0 up and coasting.
But do you know what? We were 2-0 up at half time, weren't we? And we were walking, me and you, Emil, behind the goal for the second half. And you said to me, got an ominous feeling about this. And then
I've had a
before
few
you
of them
know
in my
it,
career, but yeah.
before you know it,
I didn't like being
3-2.
proved. I didn't like being proved right on that one.
But there was a dark cloud lingering behind our goal, quite literally, and it was. But again, Hyde United at that time, they were fourth, fifth, something like that. Good team.
But it shows. Something. Then they're looking. I mean, like, I don't know, but they're all interested in our players.
Of course they are.
They're all interested in our players, and I still say it's just.
But to be fair, it's our players going forward that people are interested in on the whole, because no one's coming in for our centre backs.
Well, who came in for our left? He was a left back. We could play. Well, Josh went obviously right back. Well, yeah, I get what you're saying. Centre back and goalkeeper. Yeah, 100%. But
they're equally as talented.
Yeah,
that's the frustrating thing.
Yeah.
They've got the background. They've come through academies. They're technically as capable physically and just something mentally.
Yeah, it is. And how do you teach that? Do you know what I mean? It's tough. But I mean, Hyde, throughout our NPL Prem years, we've always had good memories with Hyde, haven't we? I mean, that first game of the season, Luke Ranson's header, that was always a good memory, wasn't it? And then last season, was it 1-1 with 10 men? Bailey Thompson scored that. I mean, they're probably still shouting for offside over in Hyde, aren't they? But
there was one where someone got sent off for elbowing Gaz Pete.
Yeah.
5 years.
Oh yeah, right. And then when we drew one apiece at home, didn't we, at league? And and Brad Coote got sent off.
Yes,
and Brad Coote got sent off, and because he'd already had a 3-game ban, we appealed it, and Brad knows. I mean, we're never going to get, but because he won't miss Colville Cup final.
Oh yeah,
he won't
miss
Colville Cup final because he were on a 4-game ban. But I mean, yeah. I like Hyde.
I like Hyde, and do you know what? It's a quality setup as well, isn't it?
My memory of there is them charging £1 to go in the seats.
Yes, yeah, they do.
And I was like,
that's what we do.
Not miss a trick. Not miss a trick. Yeah, and we're
that's what you do.
Too hospitable at times. Some of these people are hard-faced. Hard-faced business.
I mean, the away trip, we played Guys at home, we lost 2-1. I mean, that's standard at this point. And then another frustrating game, and we're talking about frustrating games here, but that Morpeth away trip was a right funny one, wasn't it? Because we were stuck in traffic for what felt like forever, weren't we? And that's the first time, as far as I'm aware anyway, since we've been in this division where we know we're travelling long distances, where it was all a bit close, wasn't it? Because we were last minute, weren't we, for that Morpeth game?
Yeah, I mean, we were just dreading that for ring them up, after the Broadhurst Park fiasco in the previous.
It hit 1 o'clock and we were still in Bradford, do you know what I mean? You're thinking, we've got some journey, we've got some time to make.
But we started, were we winning that game as well?
I think we were, we were winning. It was a penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, it were, and nobody, nobody really appealed, did they?
No.
And I think it was Enoch scored. Yeah, Enoch scored.
And it was a healthy band of, there was the Morpeth 9, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
No, it was the Baker's dozen.
Oh, that's it, yeah, the
Baker's
Morpeth dozen.
Yeah, but Baker, so we took 13 Morpeth, yeah, I mean, yeah. And then,
I mean, look, I drank plenty that weekend, and all that, and it was a good time.
But we ultimately lost 2-1.
Yeah.
And they celebrated quite well, didn't they? As if like
it felt like a lot of teams we played at that point in the season, they beat us, and those 3 points propelled them into a position where they thought we're safe now.
Because Morpeth were there or thereabouts at the bottom.
The same with Lancaster, even going back to Boxing Day. It felt like they beat us and those 3 points.
Well, Lancaster just got rid of Mark Fell at that point, hadn't they? So they were in a right old weird period of transition.
Yeah.
But I'll miss Morpeth. Morpeth, it's always been, I'm not going to lie to you, hasn't it? It's been hard work at times, that trip, especially when it's been midweek, but it's always been a pleasant place to go.
I think we've been there 4 times, and I think we scored. Enoch was the only goal we
scored.
Yeah, it
was, yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in middle of nowhere.
I know.
In middle of nowhere.
Mighty fine clubhouse.
Yeah.
And I'll always remember the burgers and chips. That's all I'll say.
Oh,
but I know. But it's they're all the best to him. And then Bamber Bridge away 3-1. FC United.
I thought we played quite well.
I do actually. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, I think the third goal put the icing on the cake.
We were pushing.
Yeah, we did play
well.
But
around that time, I suppose, is what Chaddy did, what he essentially promised when he came in, and that was have a look at the under-17s, because we've got a bizarre setup at Coles, haven't we? Because we've got the the youth teams, and then we've got this sort of separate under
I've
17
never
entity,
understood it.
haven't we?
I've never understood it.
And it's where Chaddy's had a really good look at them, and Kieran, the under 17s manager, has sort of invited him down to training. Apparently, Chaddy's been pretty regularly, and there was 2 lads that stuck out, and it was Bobby Fenlon and Liam
Shepherd.
Liam who?
Shepherd. Good job we've got a producer here, Zach.
I know, and I read the bloody team sheets and type them up. But yeah, Bobby Fenlon and Liam Shepherd, and it was around that Bamber Bridge time where they started coming in, and it was nice actually, wasn't it? Because these under 17s have been around for a while, and it was nice to finally see a bit more of a connection between the two and a bit more of a narrative being built.
Well, I mean, the thing is, these are the academy, right?
Yeah.
The academy. I mean, there's different. There's academy. There's junior. There's academy. I mean, the different setups.
They are.
I mean, the different setups. No, I mean, I think we're under 17. They're having a good.
Very good season.
We've had a good season, yeah. But let's see what we can do next year under 18s. But we've got to remember they're under 17s, under 18s.
Yeah.
That's what we've got to remember.
100%. Yeah. But Bobby, I think, was named on the bench for that one. And then FC one, same old story.
I said I was going to mention this, wasn't I?
Go on.
They were awful.
They were.
FC United were awful. They were. We should have been on paper, we were so superior to them. They had the lad up front from Bury. They had one lad from West Didsbury. And Charlton, Danzig Abidon. They had the other lad, the ginger lad who scored. Was, I think he come from Altrincham youth set up. We were miles ahead of them.
And we just couldn't put the game to
They
bed,
were poor, so poor. But you knew it was coming.
Yeah. It was last kick of game as well, and hey, let's have it right. I mean, they come in numbers here.
Yeah.
Listen, they'd not won in 4 or 5. I mean, Renault's been in here.
Oh.
When he's been sent off, when they've lost. And he's been won at last and now.
So kissing the badge and all sorts.
So fair play to him then. Yeah. But I mean, I can understand why Chad. I mean, because it was last kick at game, and it was like hour behind goal, and it was like opening up Red Sea at back, and it was just like that's another nail in coffin.
Yeah, and it was just that same feeling of your head goes down, but our heads were up, Workington away, by the skin of our teeth, But I mean, first of all, my first visit there, what a ground.
Old school.
What a ground.
It's a former league club, isn't it?
And you just everything about it was just awesome. And again, a healthy-ish following that day. We all went up to Wetherspoons before for a pint or two, and we saw some of Vicky and the Colesgals family they were meeting up with, weren't they, from that way, which was nice. And it was again, out of nowhere, just this awesome performance. And
I felt like we always had it in us, though.
But then, of course, the working to keeper's got to go and score to make it 3-2.
We were we're 3-0 and coasting. We're 3-0 and coasting, then they make it 3-1, don't they?
Yeah.
They make it 3-1. Oh, was it? Yeah. And then next minute, I mean, he'd made it 3-0. Ollie Putnam, cracking goal.
Oh,
cracking goal. And then they make it 3-1. Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't happen. Well, it does happen. Her keeper's gone up at 3-1, and he's gone in middle of like
the mixer.
Well, good header, wasn't it? And then you think at 3-2, it's going to happen again.
And again, just to mention the weather, because we were in that open end behind the goal we're attacking, and we were getting absolutely drenched, weren't we? There were brollies galore keeping us covered, and but we saw it through. And there was a party in the clubhouse afterwards. There was a party on the coach afterwards. So like in their clubhouse, because they had a live musician on, didn't they? And it was a brilliant day out, wasn't it? And I think one way you thought, do you know what? It's been it's been a tough season, but we've been in there. We've enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, and it was our second double at season, Bradford Park Avenue,
and working.
Yeah, I mean, we've not mentioned Bradford Park Avenue, but one of our other wins when it was windy and dugout flew off. I mean,
it was
that were another backstuck wall. That was a good backstuck wall second half.
And that was one of the only games on that day, because even Bradford City had been called off, and we were in that. If you've never been to Bradford Park Avenue, it's probably one of the most bizarre grounds I've ever seen Coles play at, because you've got this massive pitch, haven't you? You've then got this running track around it, then you've got this massive stand, like a full-on Football League stand there, but, you know, all due respect to Bradford, they're working hard, but it's not in their best of conditions, is it? And we can say that because we're the same. And then you've got this tiny little stand behind the goal, haven't you? And it's almost like just this metal thing that's been thrown up. And it was so windy that day we'd gone there. It was right in the middle of a storm, and it was so windy that the signs were flapping off the stand and eventually broke off.
That plastic dugout,
the dugout literally flew off and everyone had to get off. But it was 2-1. Josh Solomon Davies, did he score? No, he didn't. He crossed it in for who? For Enoch.
Mr. Producer. No,
I think Enoch scored, and I think Nathan Kane scored.
Nathan Kane scored. Yes, he did.
Let me get me
This is
glasses
very
on.
prepared.
Well, yeah. Bradford Park Avenue.
Here we go. Get it up here. You want to be? Oh yeah, Enoch. Yeah, and Josh Solomon Davies.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I mean, it was Route 1, wasn't it, that first goal? But it were windy. But yeah, let's get back into March, April now. But that was a good win.
It was a good win, and a good club, really friendly
brilliant,
club. Yeah. And you know, I think they've come down. Are they in our league?
They'll go to the east.
They're going into the east. So we wish them all the best, because I think, you know, it's hard work, isn't it, running a football club? We know that. You know, more than some others. But I think I really got the sense that Bradford committee, the Bradford directors, because they'd come down from the National League North, and you got the sense that they were working tirelessly, weren't they? But it just wasn't working for them. Do you know what I mean? So I really do wish them all the best.
I do remember when we beat them here, and the media guy interviewing the manager, and he determined to get out of him a comment slagging off our pitch.
Oh, really?
And he wasn't.
That were in August.
That
were in August. It were golden.
Fair play to their manager.
It were golden, eh?
At the time. I can't remember where he's gone to. I think he gone to Gainsborough, somewhere like that.
Something.
Yeah.
And then you've got Stafford Rangers.
Oh, that were a Muck and Nettles game, wasn't
it? Was.
Yeah.
They were not happy.
Well, they weren't with the referee, were they?
Happy with the referee.
They weren't with the referee, were they? It was like, I mean, one of my favourite. I'm doing a lot of favourites tonight, aren't I? But that picture away at Stafford Rangers where we played them in COVID times.
They were not happy then either.
When they were hovering around their tunnel, and my favourite, we got Paul Humphries there with the smug little.
That was we were allowed 30 tickets.
Yes.
We were allowed 30 tickets, and we sold out
because we were tier 3.
5 minutes. We told out in 5 minutes about that.
And it was, and we beat Stafford Rangers. And for those that don't know, Danny Taberner was an absolutely did a brilliant job of winding their supporters up.
Well, he didn't get one of the players sent off. One of the players chopped him down.
And got a red card.
Yeah.
Rightly so. And basically, they gave him dogs abuse at the tunnel. Yeah. And then I think we saw that again, you know, more recently this season.
At the referee, yeah.
The referee, I don't remember what it was all
there
about.
There was a penalty decision which didn't go for them, and you've seen them given. Probably against us, it's a nailed on pen usually.
But who scored that day?
Shall I get my programme out?
Do that.
Let's race. Dylan Thompson.
Dylan Thompson, yeah, Dylan Thompson.
Was it a header? But yeah, and it was a good win. But
it meant something. Listen, you think about it. It meant something to him. It meant something because Stafford Rangers
should not be
FA Trophy. They've been in conference.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we beat Stafford Rangers more than they beat us.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, shouldn't really happen.
No, but also Stafford Rangers should not have been. They should not be relegated, are they? They're going to come into our league, aren't they?
But let's have it right. In that truncated, that first season, they were going down.
They
were going down, and then. So I mean, listen, it is. It's. But I've never seen a club like it where they've got. You could have 4 dues on
Yeah,
did
the
it?
clubhouse.
Because
Yeah,
what
Gainsborough.
Gainsborough,
Yeah.
Gainsborough is my favourite non-league football ground.
Yeah.
Immense.
What a place!
Immense.
What a
Yeah.
place!
And we didn't have a very happy memory. And who could fit, what happened at Gainsborough to my little car, bless it, parked outside someone's house. And I return after the game with a piece of paper on, do not park in front of people's houses, nobody wants to see your shit car. I mean, it made Are You the Clown, so it's there in print forever.
Gainsborough, but what? Yeah,
Still going.
Yeah, still going
we
strong.
won 2-0. Rick 2-0 at Gainsborough, 2-1.
We won
4 years ago.
We won 2-1.
The cone
Coleman,
game
Cover,
was
yeah.
was
And
it
then
2-0?
last season, we drew 2-2.
And this year we lost 4-1.
We lost 4-1.
Oh my! And that referee's performance. I said to the referee, I said, right, come on, just common sense approach. No bookings, please. He says, I'm going nowhere. You'll be all right with me. Within 5 minutes, I should have been sat on coach.
Yeah. It was
That's
a tough
another story.
one. It was a tough one. But then, on the theme of referees, the next game we naturally talk about is that rearranged Macclesfield game. Where before we do come on to the referee, I just want to give full credit to Bobby Fenlon, who started the game.
Yeah.
Around that time, look, a common theme throughout this season has been injuries. Right, we've had some really nasty injuries to what, this was rugby league, you call it the spine of your team, right? So Lewis Mansell was out for a very long period of time, wasn't he, at the start of the season? Sidney was out towards the end of the season. And, it just kept racking up and up and up. And then, you've got... you reach a certain point where, because your squad, especially towards the end of the season, has been picked apart, i.e. players have left, and you can only bring in X, Y and Z, you are naming players from the academy on the bench. And Bobby Fenlon had to come in this particular game against Macclesfield because someone was stuck in traffic. I think it was Mo that might have been stuck in traffic or something like that. And Bobby got chucked into the side, and he was absolutely awesome, bless him, wasn't he? And you could tell he was scared. Rightly so, you could, because it was a massive.
I won't use scared.
No, scared's the wrong word.
I don't think you were expecting it. But
no.
I think it were quite.
It's in at the deep end.
Yeah, it was
yeah.
Because he flew up after 15 minutes, didn't he? Got a book. He got a book.
And that was the other thing.
That's again the referees. Show some common sense.
Well, we said. So after the game, we said to the referee, because I think we'll come on to the penalty shout. Either way, my point is, it was a very brave performance, very brave performance, because we frustrated Macclesfield.
Yeah.
Bobby was brilliant. The whole team was brilliant. 1-11 across the 90, and. But Bobby got that booking, and that one annoyed me more than the ultimate sending off, which we'll come to, because Bobby's a young lad, right? How old is he? 17, 16? He's making his debut at this level of football, in adult, semi-professional football, against Macclesfield, right?
Yeah.
And he reached a point where, because his adrenaline was so high, he was being sick. And the liner says to him at this point, listen, you can't be sick on the pitch. So what do you do?
You absolutely can be sick on the pitch.
But he said that. The liner said that. You don't know this, do you, as a young lad? So what do you do then? You go off the pitch, don't you? To which then the referee turns around, notices he's gone off the pitch, bucks him because he didn't tell him he was going off the pitch. And I said to the referee after the game, I said, come on, he's a young lad here. The liner said this to him, so he's going to go off. And the referee just went, I don't care, it's the rules. And it's where you want a bit of compassion. But anyway, move on to the other major incident.
That's sending off.
I'm just, listen, we can do this without controversy.
Yeah.
But you put that thing on Twitter, X,
which
whatever
is
you want to call
bit
it.
naughty.
No, I know, but it
was on your own account.
Yeah, but listen, it was just
59,000 views. Yeah. Right, the most views anything Atherton Collieries have ever put out was that jokingly
player signing.
Yeah, Ben Conway signing at 250,000. When that went viral, 59,000. I'd like to think that referee's seen it and thought, do you know what? That's appalling.
Well, it was.
Describe the incident.
You describe it.
Well, so Lewis Thompson's going to breaking into the box,
dancing.
And one of their players barges into him. It's just a pen, and the linesman flags, and
to give the penalty.
To give the pen, and then the referee just goes, "No, that's a dive. It's a second yellow."
Nobody did
you're
it
off.
dramatically, remember, because
Yeah.
the linesman flagged, the whistle blows, and there's 5 seconds.
He did it with panache.
Yeah,
didn't
there's
he?
5 seconds, and the referee's blown his whistle. He's walking over to him. He's pointing to the spot, and then all of a sudden he goes like that, doesn't he, to give the foul? And you can hear my
What
favourite
on
thing
earth?
of the highlights is you can hear on the audio
Yeah.
the whole stadium go what at the same
I think,
time.
was there somebody up? There was somebody up.
Yeah,
It must be
Chris.
Macclesfield fella.
No, yeah. So I got so Chris. People might have seen around on a match day. He's got a red coat.
Oh
on.
yeah.
He's
So he weren't a Macclesfield fella.
no. He's
Yeah.
he's helping out his mate Josh. He's
He's helping out the club.
Yeah. I really like Chris because he's one of those people who just
Grafts.
gets stuck in. He was doing the turnstiles at bonfire night.
Yeah, Chris and Josh, by the way, are two. So we work closely with the uni. I think it's Josh that goes to UClan,
Yeah.
and he's interested in media. But his mate Chris comes along, doesn't he? And they both love the club.
And Ben.
They both love
Yeah.
the club, and that's what it's all about.
Josh-
Sorry, go on.
And Chris had just got stuck in.
Yeah.
Like, Chris, you fancy doing the camera for the second half? So he's gone up there and done a fantastic job of capturing that and adding the sound effects.
Yeah.
So
But anyway, so the referee's gone there. The stadium's in uproar, and then you think it can't get any worse. But then what happens?
He sent him off.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's second yellow,
he
yeah.
sent it off. I mean, we'll put it in perspective, right? I mean, there were 700-800 on that ground, and listen, I'm only presuming here. The referee was the only person that day who thought Lewis should have been sent off. Laughs played 300 games for Coles.
Yeah.
He's in centre defence for
Macclesfield.
Macclesfield. He walked away. He couldn't believe it. I spoke to him 3 times since, and he agreed
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
And listen, I know you might think we're going on a little bit about this, but it was just...
yeah, kills
Well, the
you.
phrase you used, and it's absolutely
you.
right here, that you do this in class. It's all about class, isn't it? And Lewis was receiving treatment by Tony, and he was the way I think you the way you were hanging over his carcass. You couldn't wait to give that yellow card.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, you said that to the ref, and it's true because Lewis was receiving treatment by Tony, and the referee was just loitering over him like that with the yellow card in his hand. As soon as he stood up, boom, like that. And again, another Cots class. It was Tony Dunn's reaction because I mean that could have been another red card, but Tony for once composed himself.
But because it were a second yellow, you couldn't appeal it.
it,
And
yeah.
it was just one of them things when you're playing the mighty Macclesfield,
Yeah.
you know. And I think Michael Cleggy, I mean, I think
He-
he
I think
was
he-
even a little bit embarrassed about
But I
it,
think
yeah.
he knew as well,
Yes.
Cleggy, to be fair to him, and we all knew. I think we were 1-0 down at that point, but my God, we were still going for it, and we were still very much
gave
in
them
the
the
game.
game.
We were
them the
still
game.
very much in the game, and I think, truthfully, had Lewis not been sent off, there's a very good chance we could have at least took a point
It's
from
what
that.
woulda, coulda, shoulda, but
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have found
So,
it.
on the subject of Danny Laugh, I don't think we realised what a great player he was.
Yeah,
Because we had such a good team. And Laughs has gone to Bury, they go to FC United in this league, then Cleggy's pulled them into Macclesfield. They train on an afternoon.
Yeah, they're full
there's-
time, they're a full-time team, yeah.
Laugh's got his business.
Yeah.
They're doing that. So he's making sacrifices. He did not look out of place in a team
Yeah.
that's pushing.
He's playing,
for-
he's playing an FA Trophy semi-final.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And deservedly so.
Yeah.
He
Coldsman.
did everything that we wanted of a defender, in that he was communicating. Because I'm watching him first half. He's communicating with his teammates who he hasn't played with for that long. He's fast. He's still fast. But he can distribute the ball.
beautifully.
Unreal.
I mean, what I will say about Laugh as well is you'll notice his name's still up above the Jimmy
Yeah.
Fielder.
Yeah.
He doesn't play here anymore. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? His name's. and
I
that's
noticed.
a mark of the man.
I noticed he had doing the scaffolding at Preston's of Bolton the other
Oh, is
week,
he?
and he had a massive.
Oh, did he?
I think he put his own massive banner on top of it.
Who could blame him? But you know,
Yeah.
full credit to him. And
Class.
then the other, I mean, look, the rest of the season's kind of largely forgetful, really. Apart from that game away at Marine, I said I wanted to mention this beforehand.
Yeah.
I mean, Marine ultimately went up with Radcliffe, and they beat Macclesfield away from home in that playoff final. And Marine, hands down, I think, especially on that day when they put 4 past us, the best team we've played this season.
I mean, it was 4-0 after about half hour,
and Jack Buckley saved a penalty.
Yeah, I'm just glad we took the foot off the gas. I mean, listen, I think it was game after we'd won at.
No, it was the game. We played Macclesfield.
Well, so we played Macclesfield. Yeah, we were just.
It was the game after we beat. So it was the game after we lost against Macclesfield.
Yeah, I mean it was. I mean it could have been 7 or 8 really, and that's no disrespect to our lads.
Yeah.
I mean Marine have. Well, I mean it's been a glorious 5 or 6 years for them, hasn't it? Since.
Yeah. They came here in that FA Trophy game. If you remember, it's our first season in the.
Yeah,
in the NPL, Division 1 West.
Yeah.
They were in the Prem at the time. They came here, played us off the park. Vinnie Bailey, up front for them, played them off the park. I think that's one of the games that Cleggy resigned. Is it for half an hour?
I can't remember that one. But then and then we played them after that, didn't we? We played them after that when we were above them.
Is that in the FA Cup?
Yeah, in the FA Cup and. We drew 0 apiece here, and then again we were 2-0 down, and then Conway score? Conway made it
2-1.
2 apiece, with 93rd minute, and then it was like, I mean, we're forever going about referees, but that 120th minute penalty decision when we think he guessed, when we were playing at home to Wrexham. So I mean, it was after 210 minutes we couldn't separate them. And that penalty decision will live long in memory. Yeah. But other than that, fair play to Marine because brilliant, absolutely
and fair play to Youngie because he's always. I know Youngie's been very kind to Chaddy. Chaddy always talks that him and Youngie communicate a lot, and apparently Youngie was great when he took Harvey. Do you know what I mean? So definitely all the best to him, and I believe now. For those whenever we've been to Marine, we've always talked about how that's almost an in-your-face experience due to how it's a tight place to go, isn't it? So they're now looking at building a new ground, basically. So all the best to him. Everyone, officials-wise, has always been very kind, haven't they? So best of luck to him.
One of the things about the Macclesfield Marine game was after the game, obviously Cleggy's lost and he's devastated. And I listened to his interview, and he said that you don't win promotion with 5 different keepers and however many different centre-back pairings. And I thought, that's our season as well.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I think the thing is, so season as a whole, right? Chaddy came in, no one, nothing. Right, so he's had to build something, and we've talked a lot about with Carl how as you go through, especially in the early months of the season, you naturally chop and change, don't you? You should try and work out, all right, who is going to be in my team, who isn't going to be in my team, and then when you get that settled squad, that's when the injuries come, and like Emil said, your players get cherry picked, and so I feel like Chaddy's best side came too late. Do you know what I mean?
I feel that Joe Adams and Enoch came at different times as well.
Yeah, and I said if we started the season with the squad that we finished with, and that squad had a good pre-season together, then we could have.
One of the things about pre-season, we talked about this before, was that we had nothing arranged, I believe. So we've thrown together a pre-season.
We didn't have any pre-season friendlies, did we, Emil? Because it was all up in the air last season. Do you know what I mean?
You can always get pre-season.
Yeah, I know, but my point
is, I mean, let's have it right. The pre-season were all right, but
right.
So the thing was, this is my take on it. He come with no players, right? Of no players. There was Adam, then Nico after, right? So he started with 2 players. Now, the thing about, you think about it, we've had 10 years of relative success, right? 10 years of relative success. He's followed a manager, Michael Clegg, who has got a team from 3 divisions up on a shoestring, right? On a shoestring. Now, you can say Salford have gone up, other teams have gone up. Nobody in the last 10 years has emulated what he's done in 3 and 5 years, right? Nobody has done it, and he's gone on to better things, and I'm so proud now that he's at Macclesfield, and
Yeah.
hopefully he goes on to that. So he's gone in there, and then he's following on from the most popular person at football club in a generation, in Brad Cook.
Yeah.
Right, so we've had 10 years of basically success
Familiarity
and
as well.
familiarity.
Yeah.
We've had that. Now, all good things come to an end. And Cherry took the job, and the thing is, initially it was difficult because he had no squad. We were already, if we'd have stayed up with Brad, if Brad had stayed, we'd have been 66-1 for Win League anyway. I mean, because people are expecting us to go down, whoever's managing.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it is what it is. But he's grown into job. He's grown into the job.
Absolutely.
And would we have gone down? We would have had a squad.
We'll never know. Yeah.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
Would we have gone down if it only played 80 minutes? What we talk about, we'll never know. But it's been he has, and he's grown into the job. I mean, you think about it, right? He's coming to this clubhouse. And we've lost 17 out of 21 home games. You know, and you think the lad's faced it all.
Oh, big time.
The lad has
never
faced
shied
it.
away from it.
He's faced. I mean, he must be so disappointed. You think the Ilkeston home game. You know, some of it, like we talk about the last 5 minutes, and he's never ever shied away from it. And
You got respect.
yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, me personally, I wish we'd have gone down Saleybridge, but I mean that's just me. That's me talking. You know, 12 months early, it would have been easier if we'd have gone down. But what we've done now, we've gone down. We've got a committed manager, and all we can do is support him.
Absolutely,
I mean, because he's been. Listen, we've gone down, but and he's warming to job. He's warming to job where.
What you say about this season? It's been a success for different reasons. Right? We've got new blood in the club, right? It was very much that new era at the start. We've managed to find somebody in David Chadwick who is invested in this club. He cares about this club, doesn't he? You know, he's always speaking to Paul about different sponsorship opportunities, what he can do to help with the pitch, what he can do to help with this, what he can do with that. So he cares about this football club. And ultimately, you've got that youth link, which is solid. And we're going into next season, sure. Your established players are going to look for other opportunities. Your City Fofanas have gone to Bamba. Okay.
Can we say that it's our annual statement of no one signs for a football club in June?
Exactly.
There are people, I don't know, we're an hour and whatever into it. So if you've made it this far, you clearly invested in it. Yeah. We aren't signing anyone until whatever date in July.
I honestly don't know. I mean,
but my point is,
no. What makes me laugh is
people are announcing.
I don't know who's signed, who's not signed.
Yeah.
Some other people seem to know. But you know what I mean? The rumour mill in Atherton seems to know who we're signing and who we're not signing. But I don't know.
I don't know.
We're
one's signing.
We're only bothered what team we put on that paddock on the 10th of August.
I'd compare it at the moment to Love Island, where all these players in these clubs are courting each other.
Yeah. And the thing is, my point is, Chaddy's got something to build from, at least, which is much more positive.
What I was going to say was we have got a pre-season schedule largely in place.
Was Chaddy even appointed this time last year?
Yeah. It was in May, just about.
Yeah, just.
And you know, and the club is growing in different ways, and that's what's important. And it's important, you know, we said it when we brought Are You the Day Jobs back this time last year. Do you know what I mean? In that, stick with us. You've got to stick with us, because that is the most important thing. Because what Atherton Collieries is, and what makes Atherton Collieries unique, is the people that come down. People. Ultimately, isn't it? It is the people. It's the people that make the club. All right, the club doesn't make the people.
Entirely.
So that's got to be the message going into next season, because my God, it's going to be an adventure. It's going to be an adventure, isn't it? Let's be
Well,
honest.
not quite as much of an adventure because the games are a lot closer.
I know, but I love them.
I
Clitheroe
love
away.
I love it. I love
Mosley
where
away.
we're going.
Mosley on train. Mosley on train.
No, not a dig at Bury. 2 trips to Withenshaw.
2 trips to Withenshaw. 2 trips to Widnes.
Fantastic.
I mean, who can't wait for 2 trips to be in that massive stadium?
I'd be home for 6 o'clock.
Oh, we go on toll again, Chasetown. Remember?
Yeah.
Hey,
And 6 toll.
Esnesford.
Oh, yeah. We had good
Yeah.
memories there. That rickety road.
So new teams in league, I think, was Avro.
Yeah.
Avro, 2 Withenshaws.
Yeah.
2 Withenshaws.
Yeah.
Ensford.
Vauxhall Motors.
No, we've played them before.
Have we?
We've
Yeah,
played them
yeah.
before.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's 4 or 5 new teams. You've just got to you've got to stick with us and see how it goes. I mean, we don't know who'll be playing because I think some of the lads will be going. I mean,
That's
we know.
the nature of the
We know Siddy's gone to
Bamber Bridge.
at Bamber Bridge, but I don't know anything else anyway.
No. So
What we're gonna do then is have at some point have a preview of the season. But I think where we know a little bit more about the playing squad.
Yeah.
Which will be when training starts.
I mean, and you know what? It won't be till well into pre-season because it's going to be trialist central. You know, as it always is pre-season. There'll be some familiar faces, I'm sure, amongst those and amongst the squads playing at pre-season. So
The thing that I'm hoping to do this season, and I know we've talked about it, is to get to know the players a little bit more.
And that's one mistake we perhaps made.
We're going to put our hands up. I think that it's important that you review everything, and through no fault of our own, we never got across personality.
Yeah.
Jordan Fagbola was the captain.
And we never really interviewed him.
But we didn't know he was the captain until the first game.
I don't think Charlie did either.
And I said numerous times we need to get Fagbola in front of a camera.
Yeah.
And we never got the chance.
And so that's what we're going to aim to do more
Yeah.
of. You know, we'll see. And then, you know, in terms of big things coming up, so we'll do those interviews, and then we've got, you know, inevitably when the kit launch, and then pre-season will be starting before you know it. So, I mean, look, it's a month away, isn't it, pre-season?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Pitch work going on at the moment, so a final thank you to the Supporters Club for sponsoring this video, but also for everyone who contributed to that Pitch Square Fund, because the pitch work it's happening not quite before our eyes because it's, what time is it, 9 o'clock at night, but it's all systems go, isn't it? So yeah,
we'll get back to it in about a month.
bring it on.
Over and out. Cheers.
Thank you.